All right, senior home business, family, community, people that are out there just checking us out. We're playing a little rock and roll today. Brittany, I don't know what song this is, but I grew up in the 80s, so it sounds like it could be 80s, maybe 90s. I have no idea, but we're having some fun today because Senior Placement Institute just came out last Friday. Brittany and I have spent, I don't know, Brittany, without exaggeration, probably a couple of months we have spent doing a deep dive into the senior placement business. We believe, and we'll show you a little bit later, so stay with us. We're going to show you exactly what's in the Senior Placement Institute. We're going to show you one of our competitors. They have 10 modules. Man, we've got over 40 modules. We do a deep dive. It's the most comprehensive senior placement course in the country. So we want to make sure you're aware of that. We are going to talk about the differences today. You see the topic. The differences between assisted living and skilled nursing facility, oftentimes called SNFs. Now, SNFs is not the common cold. If I do sneeze this morning, Brittany, we're doing this show a little bit earlier than usual. And what Brittany and I were talking about off camera is in the morning, for some reason, I live in Central California. I struggle with allergies first thing in the morning. So I apologize for that. If I got to kind of get away from the microphone, you know why. So, all right, Brittany. Good morning, Brittany. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, fantastic, man. It's a great day to be alive, man. It's a
Yeah.
great day. And we're doing this show a little bit earlier because I'm taking my wife to the airport. She's flying to Washington to see her parents and her siblings. My wife is one of 10, and I'm an only child brat.
Me too.
So that's how you go.
Yeah, me too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Brittany, well, let's get into it. We'll get into the 7 main differences, but go ahead and tell us a little bit what makes assisted living and what makes a SNF, not that kind of SNF, but a skilled nursing facility, a skilled nursing facility.
Yeah, it's tough. Just as a side note to kind of start this. So a lot of, if you are looking into being a senior referral agent, or if you're looking for your family members, a lot of times people refer to senior living as a nursing home or skilled nursing for every level of care. A lot of assisted livings didn't exist many years ago. It wasn't a popular thing. So a lot of families and people in the community think of a nursing home as the standard type, or skilled nursing home as a standard type of care. So you might work with families and they say, oh, my mom never wants to go to a nursing home. Well, here's something really cool. There's other options now, besides just the nursing homes that they dreaded. That was horror stories. Nobody likes to hear the word nursing home.
Absolutely.
So the big difference between the two types of facilities is honestly more of a residential feel to a medical feel. So assisted livings are going to provide more of a residential 24 care with caregivers. And a lot of times those are not certified, depends on your state. They could be someone like me or Matt that is trained.
Oh, you don't want me helping out in that department. Yeah. I don't mind. Hey, I don't mind at all, but I'm probably one of the least people that you want to take care of.
Yeah. That's why we're in this business, right?
That's right.
Caregiving business. So that's why we don't own care homes and things. But yeah, so they're going to be more of just a caregiver. Again, depends on your state. I think many times now they're just, people on the street, essentially, that maybe have an interest and passion for seniors, where they can train them to be amazing caregivers. But a lot of times they don't have to be CNAs. Again, check regulations, but there's no certification they have to have unless you're a med tech or something along those lines. But so assisted living is going to provide care plans and care to seniors. They are just not a clinical atmosphere. So when you think of skilled nursing, it's more of a clinical atmosphere. And I'm talking skilled nursing, long-term care. There's 2 different things here too, can get confusing. So if you're taking notes, if you're on this call today, assisted living is more of care. Assisted living and memory care is more of care given around the clock. There's caregivers. They do medications. They do all of these things more in like a home-like residential setting, where skilled nursing specifically depends on your area, what they classify it as. Could mean either a rehab service through Medicare. So that's going to provide physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, as well as just skilled nursing care, like IVs. Think clinical when you talk about skilled nursing, IVs, diabetic care, insulin, those type catheters, anything that we're talking medical, that's going to be a skilled nursing care type of need. And then when you're talking skilled nursing long-term care, so there's 2 aspects in skilled nursing. One is for rehab and one is for long-term care. And those residents typically do need more care than what an assisted living can provide. So a residential setting is not ideal for them. They're not able to press a button, for example, if they need help, or they just need a lot more oversight where all the doors are open and the caregivers are doing rounds, more of a hospital setting is what long-term skilled nursing gives to those residents. So the easiest way to put it, residential for assisted living, skilled nursing is going to be more of your clinical side. They can help with two-person assist. They can help with someone that is completely bedridden, where assisted living usually on paper is not the right fit for that. So a lot of benefits to both. Assisted living is usually fun. They have happy hours. They have all kinds of fun stuff.
You got happy hour. Sweet.
Activities, all that good stuff. Skilled nursing still has, activities and things. It's just more of a medical feel in that community. And when you walk into both of these, if you're wanting to be a referral agent, if you're already a referral agent, you will see the difference in the first 10 seconds of being in a community. So,
oh, absolutely. And you guys, if you have any questions, any comments, you can put it in the chat. We'll put it up on the screen. I know these terms can be very confusing. I wish the senior living industry would consolidate a lot of these terms. I know we're called a lot of different things: senior living, assisted living, and now we got SNF, skilled nursing facility, residential care homes. We got all kinds of things that are out there. So, but let's get into the 7 differences. And, going into a lot of skilled nursing facilities, and I know, Brittany, you've been a lot as well. Man, it is very clinical, you guys. It's just, think hospital, like Brittany said. It usually is a shared room situation. There can be a private kind of deal, but most I've gone into are shared situation. It's very, hospital food. Then they will have, like, I got a couple skilled nursing facilities that do offer, like chapel, offer a couple different things, but nowhere near to the degree of an assisted living. And we'll get into some of the particulars too, that something has changed. Well, actually, I'm going to say it now so I don't forget. I know back in 2018, when I first started my business, Brittany, it's skilled nursing at the time. If you needed nursing care, you pretty much were admitted to the skilled nursing facility and you got in. Nowadays, at least in California, guys, the ones I deal with, and it's no fault of their own, they're a business too, and they're trying to operate and stay above float, right? Stay above float, stay afloat, right? Stay above float. How do you stay above float? I don't know. Stay afloat. So, but what they do now is when you get admitted into a skilled nursing facility, you need to have an exit plan, meaning they want to know your financials. They want to know your plan after your stay here, because a lot of residents that went to skilled nursing, maybe they lack the resources, and because they lack the resources, they didn't have to stay long term in the skilled nursing. They weren't compensated real well for that. So anyway, this is a little side note, but let's get into, Brittany, the 7 main differences of these two. So let's talk about type of facility. We kind of mentioned that a little bit, but go ahead and hit on that if you would.
Yeah, just kind of elaborate what we talked about. So it's a residential atmosphere and assisted living. And these are not all the same. We always talk about this in the senior home business and on our lives, that all assisted livings aren't the same, or skilled nursing is generally speaking. So it's going to be more of, I refer to them as cruise ships on land a lot of times, because if you think
that's a great analogy, cruise ship on land.
Yeah. So they have everything for the most part. If it's a good, well-rounded community, you're looking at, restaurant style dining, you go to the meals or the social events, you've got church services, libraries, common areas. Sometimes you have a pool, just very residential. And a lot of times you can't tell the difference between an assisted living and like an independent living, or sometimes even a senior apartment complex. So you're not going to see med carts usually rolling down the hall. You're not going to see, blood pressure machines on the side. So don't think clinical, think, more of an apartment style, and they are getting the 24-hour supervision. Their medications are getting handed to them. But for the most part in assisted living, and we'll get into this, you need to be a little bit more on the independent side when you admit to assisted living. And then skilled nursing, again, medical feel, cafeteria style dining, think hospital. You can have a private or a shared room. Usually, like Matt said, they are shared. And then they give that 24-hour care, and they can almost do anything. Some skills can even do trachs. They can do a lot of stuff that assisted living would never be able to do. All these terms, ileostomy bags, you can look all these things up, or just if you become a referral agent, we teach you that in the Senior Placement Institute. But a lot of medical stuff in skilled nursing. Or if they just cannot transfer in and out of bed, that would be something skilled nursing can do. Does lead to the second type of difference, is the level of care that somebody's required. A lot of this does come into the decision-making process, whether you need assisted living or skilled. So when you're working with families, if you're a referral agent or if you're searching for your own family, knowing what medical, like what that senior requires is going to be that deciding factor on which level of care that they need. Assisted living and skilled nursing have a process on how they admit. Assisted living, I think almost in every area does assessment. So you kind of have to know where that loved one stands. You have to make sure that if you're working with clients, you know where they stand to make sure you're recommending the right places. If you're looking for a loved one, you have to know, you'll find out if you don't already know really quick what level of care that is. So, in assisted living, they're mostly looking for periodic medical assistance. So they're not needing that 24-hour care really, especially to go in. Maybe they need help with some bathing, some dressing. Maybe they just need a standby where, they can do it mostly, but need reminders and someone to make sure they don't fall. They need their medications handed to them. And they're looking for a maintenance-free lifestyle. They want somebody to cook their meals. They don't want to have to mow the lawn anymore. They want to be able to mosey on down to the dining room and get a cup of coffee that somebody else made in the morning. They want someone.
Man, that sounds like a great life, man. I want that stuff with that. No lawn mowing, no making my coffee.
No laundry. They do things like laundry for the residents. So really ease of lifestyle with some periodic medical assistance. So as needed, they all have care plans. And they just kind of do what they need to for each person.
Hey, Brittany, let me ask you a question about that, because some of these assisted living communities have nurses, right? They got CNAs, they got LVNs. I mean, I've known some that got, I don't know if they're an RN, but they're a nurse. And so that can be a little bit misleading for individuals that are looking at assisted living, because sometimes they promote that, which I get it. I'd promote it, like no other if I had a nurse on staff, but it still doesn't make it any different, right? It's still assisted living.
Yeah, here's the catch with the nurses, and I agree. I'd promote it too. I think it makes families feel better to have a title behind somebody's name, and I understand that. Usually it's one RN. So it's going to depend on your state. It's either one RN. A lot of times it's LPNs or LVNs. And essentially what they do is they manage the caregivers, and they are kind of overseeing the medication for the most part. They are not usually the person that's doing hands-on care for your loved one every day. They're usually on the clock 40 hours a week and on call. Again, depends on your state license, what they require, but it's very rare to find an assisted living with an RN on staff, on site 24/7. They might say, okay, they're on call 24/7, but to have an RN on site 24/7 is very rare in assisted living. I think it's a great thing to have an RN on their staff, by all means, or an LPN. But yeah, they're not there to provide. So if you have your loved one needing an IV or something where an RN is around the clock care, the assisted living is not going to be able to provide that. That's just, there's an RN there. That's just not their main job, is to take care of a couple residents that need that 24-hour RN oversight. So yeah, good point. That can be really confusing, and they do pitch it, and they should. I think it's a good thing to have it. CNAs, I personally don't work with a lot of communities that have CNAs, so I don't know if it's more popular in California. But to be honest, this sounds terrible, but I don't even know if any community that's even promotes it, talks about it, says that they have CNAs, any of those things.
Yeah, a lot of the communities in California, what they'll do is they'll have obviously a lot of caregivers, and they'll usually have an LVN.
Yeah.
The LVN is their nurse. So you want to make sure which qualification of the LVN, the nurse is. So that's usually the way they're structured here.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think some states might have to have more certifications than others. That could change over time. But yeah, I think for the most part, it's either some type of nurse, LN or LVN, RN, LPN, and then you have your caregivers under them. And they kind of manage that. And, that nurse will also help with admissions. So they might oversee all of the medication. Like when they're doing admissions, their job is to kind of make sure they can handle that level of care. So if it's a new resident coming in, they review all of their medical records. If they're coming from like the hospital or rehab, or if they're even coming from home, they're a part of that admission process and doing that assessment to make sure that they can, basically care for that resident is what they're looking for. So that's
hey, Brittany, we got a question on deck. Can we get to it?
Yeah.
Question is, so who is providing the care if not CNAs?
The caregivers.
The caregivers. There you go, Tim. Great question, my friend.
And remember, in the assisted living, they're not doing anything medical. So think of like just if you were taking care of your loved one, here's a good way to put it. Tim, if you had your mom or your dad that you were taking care of, some things that we could do, meaning that we don't need a license to do it. Bathing, dressing, grooming, taking them maybe from their room to the dining room. They're there to just do custodial kind of care. Or if it's something where it's just a reminder like, hey, Sally, we really need you to to come down to the dining room today, or here's the reminder to take your medication. Hey, it's shower day. So things that we could do are basically what caregivers can do. Meaning not that we want to do it or that we would prefer to do it, but we don't need a license to know how to give somebody a bath.
That's good. Good question. Good question.
Yeah, great question. And then skilled nursing, to be honest, just to kind of piggyback off that, skilled nursing also has caregivers. So there's a lot of just caregivers in skilled nursing in my areas that do, again, a lot of this custodial care, but they do have the abilities to do like more acute care. So people that are needing just that higher level of care, they need 2 people to assist them. They need someone, they're bedridden. They need a Hoyer lift. They need, sit to stands. All these words I know that are a lot of terminology, but just think medical stuff. If you don't know what it is and you're new in this business, it's probably a good chance that assisted living wouldn't be able to do that. So skilled nursing.
That's a great point, Brittany. Yeah. So don't get bogged down. If you're in the industry or you're looking to get in the industry, don't get bogged down with all of this. I mean, be knowledgeable, continue to grow. I'm a firm believer that, competence will equate to confidence, right? But like Brittany says, if something is a little bit out of the ordinary, you're not sure, it's probably skilled nursing.
Yeah. And you can always use, good things like Google. I know when I started, I don't have any medical background. I knew none of this. So don't feel like you need to know this to start. There's a lot of great, ways to find out these things, but just think medical, they list a lot here, injections, IVs. That's all going to be more of a skilled thing because they do have to have RNs on site, not just on call 24/7. So that's how they're able to do these things as opposed to assisted living. So they can really do a lot of that medical stuff. Great option, but you're not, the big difference is you're not getting like the home-like feeling. So many seniors, they dread going somewhere like here. Families dread putting them in a skilled nursing environment because it's not warm and cozy. Not that they're bad, they're there for a reason. We all might need one day, but they're just not as much of a warm and fuzzy feeling when you walk into an assisted living and see the chandeliers and see everybody happy and, at happy hour and at activities.
Yeah. You're right, Brittany. The vibe is so different. And again, this is not a slam sniffs, guys. They have different roles, different purposes. But when you walk into a skilled nursing facility, the vibe can be a little cold. I mean, meaning like not just temperature, but it is a hospital. Think about walking into a hospital and it's not the most pleasant thing in the world. I know I got new hospitals where I live down in Clovis. Even walking in that one's beautiful in the front, but it's still a hospital. In assisted living, you'll get a little bit of the more warm fuzzies, that kind of thing. But it all comes down to the care and the need of the resident.
Yeah, for sure. And then this is a big one. The number 3, the goal and the length of the stay. So assisted living is considered to be a long-term housing option. If you're in this business or starting this business, you'll hear a lot of the assisted living say we want our residents to age in place. So the goal is for them to stay there. However, what we talked about above, if it comes to circumstances where they need something like IVs and injections, that's usually something assisted living cannot care for. There are circumstances where they can bring in other resources like home health to keep them there. But ideally, assisted living is there for the long term as long as they can care for that resident. If it's something out of their license or out of their wheelhouse, they unfortunately would not be able to stay at that community. And then skilled nursing, there's two different things, a little confusing. On the rehab side of skilled nursing, that's a short-term stay. That's for them to hopefully get better and either go back home wherever they, started this journey. They return back to assisted living. They return to independent living. That goal is to get them stronger with therapy, to get them back to their baseline, wherever they came in at. If they were walking with a walker before, their goal is to get them to walk with the walker again. So that's what their goal is. And then if you're in long-term skilled nursing, though, then you're there for basically no different than assisted living. That is your home. And usually, unless really weird circumstances, skilled nursings don't ask their residents to leave. Unless it was a really weird thing, usually they can handle their care till the end of life. So that's not.
Yeah. And as far as the payment's concerned, at least in California, I don't know this to be true in every state, but at least where I'm at, long-term residents or patients, they call them. That's kind of what they call them too. Like they call them patients in skilled nursing. So it's almost, there's a difference, right? So but anyway, they're long-term. It's more socialistic in nature, meaning no matter how much money they bring in per month, I mean, obviously it can't be a whole lot. And then they just subtract that all the way down to $35. And so every resident's given or patient is given $35. So if you're making $1,400 a month or $800 a month, doesn't really matter. It's going to go all the way down to $35. So it's kind of socialistic in nature in that regard. I don't mean that in a negative. I just mean that's just the way it is. So I don't want you to think that some people are like, how much is it going to cost in terms of staying in long term? It's all your money down to $35, at least in California.
Yeah, and if you have assets, and if you have, like, if you did just sell a home and it's not protected, unfortunately, you will have to pay whatever daily rate they have until you basically have nothing left. So
what's that daily rate, Brittany? Oh my gosh.
Anywhere from very low end 220 to 550 roughly.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a big rate.
Real. I've had people like, well, I'll just keep mom there. And then when you get down to the daily rate, they're like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Because it is where I'm at. The typical rate is anywhere from 250 to 450, but it can be as high as 5.
Yep.
And man, that's just, you start adding that up. So you guys, if you're in the business, you're talking to people and they just have that as their alternative, their plan. They're just going to, exceed the time of discharge, meaning like they're supposed to be discharged, let's say tomorrow. They're like, well, I just want to keep mom through the weekend. Just do the math. Whatever the math is, let's say it's 300. And let's say they're going to stay an additional 4 days. Say, well, hey, are you prepared to spend $1,200 for these 4 days? Your mom's going to be here. So, some people don't realize that. And I know the social workers do a great job in letting families know, but sometimes they just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and to piggyback a little bit off of that, even, the education to the families, not that the social workers don't do a good job, they do, but some families I've had, that I've worked with that say, well, my mom needs skilled nursing. Well, my mom can stay here. She needs skilled nursing. We start chatting and they could definitely go to an assisted living and save, thousands of dollars a month and be in a better environment. So if the families aren't educated, not working with a referral source, social workers do a good job, but they also don't know everything about every community in the area. You might have a great fit for that person where they're not spending thousands and thousands, or a care home, right? I mean, a good alternative to skilled nursing, if they're 24-hour care, is a care home. So there's a lot of caveats to it. We could probably go on for hours about that, but it's
yes, we can.
It's really important these families know, and that the difference between the two, because I can't tell you how many families think their parents need a nursing home when a lot of times they don't, because it's just what everybody knows. A lot of people drive past assisted livings, have no idea what they are, or the care homes. You can't find the care homes, right? So there's just a lot of caveats to it. But anyway, yeah.
All right. What about type and availability of staff? This will be huge. I would think this would be, at least the top of my list. I know it's number 4, but I want to know about the availability of staff. I want to know about who's taking care of mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, staffing ratios are huge. That's a good question too. What's the regulations? Do skilled have to have more staff on each shift as opposed to assisted living? How many people are there? What kind of people are there? A lot of them will have, some of the same it's listing here, like an executive director, medical director. That's pretty common in both. Obviously, skilled's going to have your therapist, but again, that's a short-term stay. So they're not there forever. They're long-term care. If they do stay in a skilled nursing, these therapists are not going to be their caregivers, every day. This is more of just like a Medicare thing and a rehab stay. But a lot of them do have the same thing. I mean, I know we touched on this too, but assisted living will have mostly CNAs or LPNs, caregivers, and then skilled nursing is going to have that round-the-clock medical staff. So registered nurse, therapy services. That's the big thing. Again, going to medical and non-medical, skilled is going to have that medical personnel. And I do know that physicians, you'll hear this a lot if you go to assisted livings, that physicians, like, they have a house doctor, right? They come in, they see the residents. That you don't have to go with that doctor. Almost in skilled nursing, everybody goes to that doctor. That's very rare that somebody keeps their doctor in the community. If they do move to a skilled nursing, where assisted living, it's more common to use your primary. Skilled nursing, again, is more of that hospital medical setting. So you're going to get those hospital and medical personnel. So registered nurse, definitely 24/7 a day. If they need, a catheter change, if they need something like that, an ostomy bag change, all these fun words that are medical, that's what they're there for.
Love those fun words. You pronounce a lot of them a lot better than I do, Brittany.
I'm probably wrong.
Yeah. What about number 5? Independent.
Yeah. So they try in assisted living, their goal is to keep them as independent as possible with oversight. So like they might have their dining room open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. where they can come and go as they please. They might have an activities calendar that everyone can mosey in on. They might do things that are just, they want them to be as independent in their apartment if they want to be. If they want to come out, They will highly encourage them to come out, but they're not required to. And it's more of, again, a residential setting. So they want them to feel comfortable in their home. They want them to do things at their own pace. If they can walk from the dining room to the to back to their apartment without assistance, they were going to allow them to do that. They really tried to promote independence. They want them to be self-sufficient as much as possible. They're free to come and go as they would like. They just have to sign out. If some even allow them to still drive. I have some clients that still drive in assisted living. Maybe they just need help with showering every week, and they wanted the comfort zone of having somebody in a building. So they're really not, needing a lot of care. They just want a little bit of comfort that someone's there to help them if they need it. They still drive. They go to the grocery store. They go to the bank. They run their errands. So where, skilled nursing is going to be pretty routine. So it is, for many reasons, why they have to do this. I'm sure just having a lot of residents at different acuities, different care levels, they have to keep them on a routine. So their medications routine, like a hospital, their meals are routine, just like a hospital. Therapies, if they're getting therapy, going to be the same. Morning and bedtime, usually depending on the community, is going to be everybody wakes up around the same time, goes to bed at the same time. Where assisted living, if they want to wake up at noon, more power to them. Mm-hmm. So they might slip in and give their medication, but let them sleep until noon. This is more of a routine clinical setting. So this is huge. I will be honest, some residents thrive more on a routine. So I think skilled nursing might even have a little upper hand with some residents in this. Sometimes assisted living without that routine, people fall through the cracks. They don't enjoy the amenities of the community. They get stuck in the, in the crowd and don't get the attention they need. So I think there's pros and cons to both. But skilled nursing is definitely going to be clinical. You think of, I hate to say this, but I've heard skilled nursing say, when it's shower day, we line them up. I hate when they say that, but it's the truth. So it's tough to hear, but it's the reality of what skilled nursing has to do to basically, make things work. So
it is an eye-opening experience, Brittany. I tell you guys, if you've never been in a skilled nursing facility, it's just an eye-opening experience. You'll see what the staff, how difficult it can be, a lot of pressure, and just real hectic. But you'll see from the resident side too, in terms you'll feel the difference. You just will feel the vibe is so different. I remember being in a skilled nursing facility one time, and amongst many, and I was there, and this one lady was right next to us because it was a shared room, and I was talking to the resident and her family, and the lady just kept screaming. She just had to go to the restroom. She kept screaming. And there was a staff member right outside the door. And I said, excuse me, the lady needs attention. And she goes, oh yeah, we'll get to her. And so I let it go for another 2 minutes. I finally went there and said, look, if you're not going to do it, can somebody else do it? And finally someone came right away. But if I wasn't there to help her in that situation, not physically, but just get attention to her, I don't know how long she would have stayed there. And there's no slam against skilled nursing facilities, guys, but I'm telling you, it's just a different feel. Again, like Brittany said earlier, just think of hospital, think of clinical when you think of skilled nursing.
It's a different bear. And the families feel that, not to go on a tangent on this though, but a lot of, if let's say they have a fall, they go to the hospital, they recommend a skilled nursing rehab. I would say 9 out of 10 of the families that I speak with, they are unhappy. I mean, not to bash skilled nursing, but it's a lot of things that go into this. Expectations, the fact they might have 100 residents in this building that they have to care for. Staffing short, no matter who tells you they're overstaffed, they're lying. Staffing is short nationwide. So, it's just tough. It's a tough atmosphere. Most families are not prepared. And when they walk in, if this is their first experience, they are in shock. They are really in shock. It is tough. I give props to these caregivers. I don't know how they do it. So I'm glad that there is people that do that, but it's hard to find a good skill that really is.
Here's a little tidbit of it, a pro tip for people that are in the industry. If you're meeting with a family and they're skilled nursing, they may not understand that assisted living is a little bit different.
Yep.
So when you're talking to them, understand where they're coming from. That might be one of the reasons they don't want mom or dad to go to assisted living, because they think it's very similar to this.
Yep.
And again, not to slam sniffs, but if they're having a difficult time there, why would I want to transfer my mom to another difficult location? No, I want to get her back home. So you might need some of this information to kind of go through some of the differences between the two.
Yeah, definitely. Because and again, if they're thinking, oh, my mom needs to stay here, but it could be an option where she doesn't have to. there's options. And, if they feel like they're comfortable there, we never want to deter a family, but sometimes it's just pure not being educated. They have no idea. They think this is it. Oh, well, she came here for rehab. She's just going to stay. But if she's walking the halls and waving at everybody and bathing on her own, you're paying, as we'll talk on this point here, you might be paying $8,000 a month for care she doesn't need. So you're paying for way more than she actually needs. And I've had many moves like this where they're paying months of $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month when she could be in a better environment and spend half of that. So, but just to kind of touch on this too. So it's saying the price, I don't, in 2020, it was $4,300 per month. My area starts around $5,500 per month for assisted living in both of my markets, a little outdated here. So, difference here, size of the resident, types of service, part of the country you live in, all that's going to, determine that cost. So this could be starting rates, and this is not what we're going to get to on this live today, but talking about how assisted living is priced. That all depends on the care level, what type of room you're in. So many factors go into that monthly cost there. Skilled nursing is usually just semi-private, private, and what is your per day rate? Pretty simple. For the most part, everything's included as far as care goes, but that's going to jump. It's saying on this article in 2020, anywhere from $7,700 to $8,800. On the math that we did, I'm thinking it goes anywhere from 7,000 all the way up to 11,000+ for
absolutely
the math that we were talking about. So yeah, but there's ways to look at it. Yes, you're not getting a beautiful apartment in skilled nursing, but to staff that 24-hour care with an RN, with a therapist, with all the things they have to staff, that's where that price comes into play. So assisted living, you're paying for amenities, you're paying for the room, the apartment, the dining meals, you're paying for all of that stuff, like utilities. Whereas skilled nursing, you're really paying for more of the care when it's broken down. You're paying for that 24-hour acute care. And then insurance coverage. So that is part of skilled only. Assisted living is all private pay. No Medicare covers that at all, as well as no Medicare.
What did you say?
Medicare does not cover assisted living.
Get that out there, man. We get so many people, man. They have a understanding somehow, some way that Medicaid, and California calls it Medi-Cal, is going to pay for it. And that's just not good.
And this says, assisted living Medicaid typically pays for the following in assisted. I don't have that experience, so I know everywhere is different. Medicaid in my area, there's a waiver to the tune of a good old $200 and something a month, and it's a 2-year wait list, so it's a moot point for my families that I work with. But check in your area to see if Medicaid helps with assisted living. Mine does not. In skilled nursing, usually Medicaid does pay for everything, like Matt had referred to. Then they crank you out a $35 check. So that's how that works. They take all of your income. If you do qualify, but you have to have no assets. So if you're sitting there with that $200,000 in the bank, don't expect the state to pay for your care. You have to spend that down at the daily rate what that community is until you qualify. So not to get on a tangent about that, but yeah. Here's a side note. I just wanted to point this out. How it says Medicare covers up to 100 days in a skilled nursing facility. Please, I don't know if everyone has this experience. That does not mean usually 100 days in a row. That's like unheard of. So a lot of families might come to you if you're a referral agent or getting in this industry and say, well, my mom has 100 days in rehab. We'll kind of revisit this in a couple weeks. We'll talk about her next step in a couple weeks. It's very important that 100 days does not mean 100 days in a row. Medicare has to approve them to be in rehab, and then they have to keep progressing. And I think the average right now is 21 days. So if a family thinks they have 100 days, more than likely they do not have 100 days. So what will happen is they'll sit on it. They're convinced they have 100 days. Unfortunately, no one's educated them. You talk to them, and then they're going to get a knock, which is a discharge, in about 21 days and call you on the 21st day and say, oh my gosh, mom has nowhere to go. She has to pay starting tomorrow. So there's a lot of details that go into that, but just be aware 100 days means in a benefit period, not in a one setting. So that's huge.
Can you imagine that phone call, Brittany? Can you imagine getting that phone call thinking you had 100 days and here comes the 21st day, getting a phone call and said, hey, either you're going to be spending, let's say the bare minimum, $250 to $300 per day, or your mom needs to go to assisted living or take her home and take care of her and get one-on-one care.
And then you're looking at $22,000 a month with one-on-one care if you do 24/7. So that is a hard thing.
That's terrible. So, well, Brittany, thank you so much. I want to get into a little bit of the Senior Placement Institute. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing, guys. I'm so excited about what we've come up with, and not just because it's us, senior home business, but it is so freaking amazing. I need to pull this up here. Let's see. Let me get this thing going real quick. My wife is probably thinking, when in the world am I taking her to the airport?
Oh, are you running late? Sorry.
No, I'm good. I'm good, actually. Yeah, I'm okay. I got a few more minutes. She might be stressing a little bit. This is ours real quick. But before I get into ours, I want to show you, hold your seat, you guys. And this is not a slam for anybody out there. I just want to educate you. I want to educate you in terms of what's out there. And there's a couple of different people that are offering training, coaching in the senior referral business. So they're technically our competitors a little bit, but you want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth. And there's a couple of things, not just even money. I want to show you content that we offer versus some of our competitors. And then also, I want you to ask anyone that's teaching this a couple different things. One, show me your testimonials. I want to know people that have gone through your training that are actually successful in this industry. Did you just get this off ChatGPT? Did you just do this in 2 days? Did you just throw this together, or is it really legit? And then I want to take a sneak peek into their community, not just getting success stories on live webinars. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. She's amazing. Get somebody actually on screen, actually ask for their phone number and talk to them. So this is one of our competitors. And I'm going to show you this first because then I want to get into ours and show you exactly what we have in the Senior Placement Institute. Now, I'm not going to click the videos. You got to pay for it. But would you spend $5,000 or $10,000 for this right here? Module 1, Introduction. Module 2, the fundamentals of senior placement. Module 3, Building Key Relationships. Like you don't know how to establish relationships. Number 4, Understanding your role. God, what is your role? I have no idea. What am I doing? Then lead gen management, that should be pretty good. The business side, I think, should be pretty good. Advanced strategies, I don't know their strategies since they, maybe never done this. I have no idea. I know the person leading it has never done it. Marketing machine, ethical consideration, case study. That is your grand total of paying $5,000 to $10,000. Do you want that one, or do you want this one here? And let me pull up my screen here so I can actually go. So we got orientation, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. And Brittany, look at these courses that we put together. How long do we take to put this together? This thing goes on and on and on. I want you guys to take a good look at it because this is what you need if you're going to be successful as a senior referral agent. It just goes on and on. And Brittany, can this thing stop? I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on. I mean, let's just roll through it. So I wanted to show you that, you guys, because if you're looking to get into the senior referral business, give us a shout. You can drop down below and click a link and join a free senior living online group. I mean, again, you won't get any access to the courses, but you'll see the community is real. And that's why I want you to do your due diligence. Anybody gives a webinar, anybody that says, hey, we're doing all this in any profession, especially this when you're dealing with seniors, make sure you're dealing with a company that's actually have done this and is still doing this. I still do this business. Brittany still does it. We got students in 34 different states across the country. If you want to schedule a consultation, you can have it with me. You can schedule down, just drop down and get on my calendar. Would love to have a conversation with you. But I want to show you real quick exactly what we cover. Because Brittany, I think we spent, a couple of months doing some videos. We didn't just throw this together. I've heard of other people out there doing a course and they're like, hey, let's just get together. And they spent 2 days throwing up some PowerPoint and get some ChatGPT and get some information. And oh man, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Ask them very specifically how wonderful it is for them. Ask them about their testimonials and actually talk to people that have been successful in their course. You can talk to people who have been successful in our course. So Brittany, closing thoughts. What do you think?
No, yeah, definitely. I was a student, so if that tells anybody anything, so 4 years ago, but yeah, just do your research when you're looking at courses in any industry. There's a lot of people that are coaches in courses, so just look at them, but we'd love to have you. And I feel like we've got a really good thing and really good coaching and everything about it. I think it's just, if I was looking for a course, not to sell one way or another, I just think it's a really good above and beyond what you
Absolutely. Senior Placement Institute. You can go to seniorhomebusiness.com. Senior Home Business is the name of our company. Senior Placement Institute is the course, but it's more than a course. It's a community. You can get involved. I know some courses out there, like the one I just showed you, are offering weekly coaching. we offer weekly coaching, but we also go the extra mile and offer monthly workshops. We bring in guest speakers sometimes. We have one of the best dementia specialists in the country last month on video with our students detailing information. So we do this kind of things. You're in a private group with people actually doing it. So I want to encourage you to check it out. So senior placements too. I want to encourage you too, if you're looking to get into the industry, make sure that you're a person of empathy. Make sure you're in it for the right reason. I know some people, Brittany, they get into it because of the money. I know there's a lot of hype, and I know there's people out there that are promoting this because, oh man, just get money tomorrow. Just throw an ad and get money tomorrow. And that's really not the motivation you really should be getting into this industry. It should be one of empathy. The seniors should be put first. Be an advocate for seniors. It's those people that are really will be in this business for a long period of time. Like I've been in this business since 2018. I think Brittany, you came in 2019, I think it was.
So end of 20.
End of 20. So you've been in it for a good almost 5 years. I've been in it for 6 going on 7. Doesn't count what we did before with large communities and things like that, but just the actual business. So if you want to sustain your business, you really want to be in the business for a long period of time, man, you need to, kind of an old country way of saying here, hook your wagon to somebody who's been doing it for a long time, knows what they're doing. So, all right. Hey, until next time, because I got to get my wife to the airport. She's probably out there, got the luggage ready to go. I'm going to be a bachelor for 7 days, which only means I'm going to be working a lot more, Brittany. So you'll probably hear a lot more from me, and a lot more videos are kicking out because I'll be a bachelor of 2 dogs. You probably heard them earlier. I don't know what they were doing, but they were letting people know they mean business, even though they're 20 pounds and 10 pounds. They can't hurt anybody. They love you, but they let everybody think they're bulldogs or something. I don't know. But hey, until next time, God bless.